Hi guys, this is Rebecca, Geeky Girl. Thank you for watching. Today we're going to discuss 6 things that the book did better than the movie. Now, if you haven't read the book, I recommend that you do. You can buy it on Amazon. You can download it as a PDF online. It's no excuse for you not to read it. And if you need to be convinced, here we go. Now, number 1.
Setting up the tone of the movie.
While the movie opens by throwing the viewer right into space battle, the book takes its time together. First, it sets the tone of the story as that of a tragedy of epic dimensions. This is how the book starts. This story happened a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It is already over. Nothing can be done to change it. It is a story of love and loss, brotherhood and betrayal, courage and sacrifice, and the death of dreams. It is a story of the blurred line between our best and our worst. It is the story of the end of an age. Strange thing about stories. Though this all happened so long ago and so far away that words cannot describe the time or the distance, it is also happening right now, right here. It is happening as you read these words. This is how 25 millennia came to a close. Corruption and treachery have crushed 1,000 years of peace. This is not just the end of a republic. Night is falling on civilization itself. This is the twilight of the Jedi. The end starts now. This touches all the right notes, especially, knowing what came after. Let's focus on canon. So it never fails to give me chills every time I read it. We all knew going into the movie that it was going to end badly. Now, Anakin Skywalker dies to get birth to Darth Vader. But this introduction really gets me in an emotional level. And while you keep reading, you can't help but hoping that it's not true, that somehow the heroes will make the right choice or someone will say the right word and the tragedy will not unfold. So that's one thing that the book did better than the movie. Number 2, the people of the Republic. Now, even though the original Star Wars movies kept a small core cast and it worked, the prequels are set up in a much wider universe. We're familiar with the Senate, the Separatists, the Drug Federation, and many other political organisms, especially if you watch the Clone Wars. Now, I can't help but think that Revenge of the Sith fails to show us the mood of the people, how exhausted they are of war, how much they have come to trust and rely on the Chancellor, and how the influence and popularity of the Jedi among the wider population has been in constant decline for the last 3 or 4 years. Now, this is something that the book does outstandingly well. So I'm gonna read. A strike at the very heart of the Republic, an invasion of Coruscant itself. How can this happen? It's a nightmare, and no one can wake up. The nightmare gets worse. The Supreme Chancellor is missing. Palpatine of Naboo, the most admired man in the galaxy, whose unmatched political skills have held the public together, whose personal integrity and courage prove the separatist propaganda of corruption in the Senate is nothing but lies, whose charismatic leadership gives the whole Republic the will to fight on. Palpatine is more than respected. He's loved. Even the rumor of his disappearance strikes a dagger into the heart of every friend of the Republic. Every one of them knows in their heart, in their gut, in its very bones, we had Palpatine, the Republic will fall. This is how people felt about Palpatine in the movie. We don't understand how is it possible that he becomes the head of the new empire. Like, how did he do it? It's just a military coup, but it's not. People elected him. People voted for the empire, and this is why, because he's more than admired. He's loved. And a few paragraphs later, when the topic turns to the Jedi who have to rescue the Chancellor, it follows like this. There are histories out there, not on the HoloNet, of course. The Holo News is under the control of the Office of the Supreme Chancellor. And not even Palpatine's renewed candor would allow tales like these to be told. But people hear whispers. Whispers of names that the Jedi would like to pretend never existed. Jedi who had fallen to the dark, who have joined the separatists, or worse, who have massacred civilians or even murdered their comrades. The adults have a sickening suspicion that the Jedi cannot be trusted, not anymore, that even the greatest of them can suddenly just snap. Now, the Jedi had terrible PR, because in a way they felt superior to the people of the Republic. They knew nothing about the people they were supposed to protect. They sat above them, but had no personal contact. They were seen as these distant religious figures, out of touch with reality. Now, sadly, unfortunately, the war came, and from protector of the peace, they became generals. They became humans. They became flawed. They became bleeding men. People who could fail, people who could turn to the dark. And Palpatine, of course, turned the public opinion against the Jedi by turning them into the generals, and probably by putting the blame of the ongoing war on them. Now, how the Jedi didn't realize what was happening is mattering to me, but obviously they just were so out of touch that in a way they deserved what they got. Now, on the other hand, as you can see, people in the Republic really adore Palpatine. In the movie, he's clearly the villain. Like, even before his confrontation with Windu, he make his new makeup and hairstyle. It changed from the previous movies to send a clear message that he cannot be trusted. Here is your villain. We are immediately made aware of Mace Windu's suspicions, and in general, it seems like people are quite mistrustful of Palpatine, which makes Anakin even a bigger idiot for trusting him. But this is not so. Palpatine is adored across the galaxy. People look up to him, people see him as the savior of the Republic, as their only hope. And this is a real tragedy, because I'm quite convinced that at this point, no matter what the Jedi or Anakin do, he's already won, because he won the approval of the people. Number 3. The Legend of Kenobi and Skywalker. In the movie, we are told that Anakin and Obi-Wan, they are friends. They have moved forward from their somewhat petty relationship as master and apprentice, and we have the famous Obi-Wan's quote, "You were my brother," while Anakin is toasted. But they didn't succeed portraying the amazing and complicated bond between Anakin and Obi-Wan. This is something that the Clone Wars did a lot better. But it's a pity that it's not shown in the movies, because their friendship is fascinating and is also used as a political propaganda by the Chancellor's office, which tell us a lot about his plans for Anakin. The book gets two things right. Now, first, it shows a glimpse of how people see Anakin and Obi-Wan, the negotiator and the hero with no fear, the legends. Here we go. Anakin and Obi-Wan will be there any minute. They say this as though these names can conjure miracles. Anakin and Obi-Wan, Kenobi and Skywalker. From the beginning of the Clone Wars, the phrase Kenobi and Skywalker has become a single word. They are everywhere. Holland features their operations against the separatist enemies had made it the most famous Jedi in the galaxy. All the junglies watching the battle in Coruscant Sky know it. When Anakin and Obi-Wan get there, those dirty sibbers are going to wish they stayed in bed today. 2 is enough, because the adults are wrong and their younglings are right. So it is the end of the age of heroes, it has saved its best for last. Now, why are those two so popular, even though the public opinion has turned against the Jedi? Well, it's foreshadowing of Palpatine's plan for Anakin. Palpatine did not want Vader, although he served him well. He wanted Anakin Skywalker. He wanted Anakin to be by his side, to be the face of his regime, because people loved Anakin. He also wanted Obi-Wan dead, and it was going to be a great tragedy. Anakin losing his best friend and then betrayed by the people who raised him, choosing to remain loyal to the Chancellor, to the Senate, to democracy. Now, people love his stories, and it was going to be an epic one. Then the book also succeeds in showing us the bond between these two characters. You actually feel that they are brothers. You even get a glimpse that Anakin looks up to Obi-Wan as a father, or at least that he did in the past, while Obi-Wan always saw Anakin as a little brother. So neither of them got from the other what they really needed. This is an underlying source of conflict that will become very relevant later on, considering Anakin's choices. Let's read again. And Obi-Wan Kenobi knows, too, that to have lived his life which had been mastered to Anakin Skywalker would have left him a different man, a lesser man. Anakin has taught him so much. He's respected throughout the Jedi Order for his insight as well as his warrior skill. He has become the hero of the next generation of Padawans. He's the Jedi their masters hold up as a model. He's the being that the Council assigns to their most important missions. He's modest, centered, and always kind. He's the ultimate Jedi, and he's proud to be Anakin Skywalker's best friend. Together, they are unstoppable, unbeatable. They are the ultimate go-to guys of the Jedi Order. When the good guys absolutely, positively have to win, the call goes out. Obi-Wan and Anakin always answer. Whether Anakin's legendary cleverness might beat Anakin's raw power, straight up, no rules, is the subject of schoolyard fist fights, crochet pool regal matches, pod chambers, sting wars across the Republic. These struggles always end somehow with the combatants on both sides admitting that it doesn't matter. Anakin and Obi-Wan would never fight each other. They couldn't. They are a team. They are the team. And both of them are sure they always will be. Now, as you can see, the book not only sets up their friendship brilliantly, it also constantly plays with your emotions, like with what you know is going to happen and with what you hope it won't happen, even if the hoping is hopeless. Number 4. Padme's role. Yes, of course I watched the latest scenes, but let's be honest, most casual fans of Star Wars or people who just watch the movies one or twice will have not. I understand why they were deleted, but I think it was a huge mistake. It just gave people like Kathleen Kennedy an excuse to lie and say that, the Star Wars didn't have any female role models before Rey, Mary Sue Walker. When we meet Padme in The Phantom Menace, she's a very young girl and she's quite naive, but she grows a lot during the course of the 3 movies. She's a very compassionate, feminine woman, but she's also politically savvy, daring, smart, principled, and she has the heart of a warrior. Her biggest weakness is that she sees the good on everything and everyone, which makes her trust Palpatine for a very long time, but which also makes her keep hope at the end, even while she's dying, that Anakin can be saved. And as we know, this is a belief that she passed on to Luke. Now, in the book, she organized meeting to take away Palpatine's special powers through diplomatic means, but she's also one of the first ones to realize diplomatic means might not be enough. This, of course, also contributes to create conflict with Anakin, and he is not only a Chancellor Palpatine supporter, but he also sees the guy as a granddad or even as a father. Anakin can tell that Padme is keeping things from him, which doesn't help his trust issues at all, and of course he comes to the terribly wrong conclusion. Now I am reading from the book. I fear you underestimate just how deeply the Senate's corruption has taken hold. Who will vote against Palpatine now? I will, Padme said. She discovered that she meant it. And I'll find others too. She'd have to, no matter how much it hurt Anakin. Oh, my love, will you ever find a way to forgive me? You do that, Bail said. Make as much noise as you can. Keep Palpatine watching what you are doing in the Senate. That should provide some cover while Mon Mothma and I begin building our organization. Stop, Padme rose. It's better to leave some things unsaid. Right now, it's better. I don't know anything about anything. Don't make me lie to my husband, was her unspoken plea. She tried to convey it with her eyes. Please, Bail, don't make me lie to him. It will break his heart. Now, later on in the Senate, when Palpatine presents the motion to turn the Republic into an empire, although I admit that the movie did that great, and Padme says, in fact, one of my favorite Star Wars quotes, I still think that the book does it better. It really shows that it was a vote. The book really shows that it was a motion and it had to be voted to be approved. Now, Palpatine presented the motion and the majority of the senators voted in favor. Now, that's how far Palpatine's influence and popularity goes. It's not something that he decided, but something that he presented as a question to the senators, and they all agreed. They all voted in his favor. Now, when Bail Organa intends to speak against this motion, it's Padme who stops him. We can't let this happen. Bail lurched to his feet. I have to get to my pod. We can't still enter a motion. No. Her hand seized his arm with astonished strength, and for the first time since he arrived, he looked straight into his eyes. Not Vale, you can enter the motion. You can't. Vansar has already been arrested, and Tundra Domea, and it won't be long until the entire delegation of the 2000s are declared enemies of the state. You stayed off that list for good reason. Don't add your name but what you do today. But I can't just stand by and watch. You're right. You can't just watch. You have to vote for him. What? Bail is the only way. It's the only hope you have of remaining in a position to do anyone any good. Vote for Palpatine. Vote for the Empire. Make one vote for him too. Be good little senators. Mind your manners and keep your heads down. And keep doing all those things we can talk about. All those things I can't know. Promise me, Bail. Padme, what you're talking about? What we're not talking about? It could take 20 years. Aren't you under suspicion? What are we going to do? Don't worry about me, she said distantly. I don't know if I live that long. Now, not only is Padme a founder of the Alliance to restore the Republic, she's also the first person to realize that it's too late to change people's opinions about Palpatine, and that secrecy will be the only tool that can be used against the Empire. And number 5, Anakin's Fall. Anakin's character suffered a lot in the movie. In the books, Anakin's reaction to the Jedi Council declaring that he won't be a master is justified on his need to save the woman he loves. It's not about his pride being hurt, it's about the masters keeping him from saving Padme, which is basically a repeat of what Obi-Wan did, preventing him from saving his mother. Anakin needs access to the secret holocrons in the Jedi archives, and only masters have access to those files. Now, he barely cared about the title itself in the book, and in fact, along the book, you can actually tell that Anakin is very tired of the double life, and the only reason he has not left the Jedi Order is because he cannot bear to leave his troops in the middle of war, and because he cannot bear to leave or disappoint Obi-Wan. Now I'm reading. Disturbing is this move by Chancellor Palpatine on many levels. They have become more concerned with avoiding the oversight of the Senate than they are with winning the war. Anakin inclined his head. I understand. I'm not sure you do. Mace Windu leaned forward, staring into Anakin's eyes with a measuring squint. Anakin was barely paying attention. In his mind, he was already leaving the council chamber, riding the turbolift to the archives, demanding access to the restricted vault by authority of his new rank. You will attend the meeting of this council, the Carbon Master said, but you will not be granted the rank and privileges of a Jedi Master. What? Mace Windu's eyes were as cold as the voice from Anakin's mouth. Take your seat, young Skywalker. Anakin matched his stare. Perhaps I'll take yours. His own voice inside his head had a hot blank fire that smoked from the depths of his furnace heart. You think you can stop me from saving my love? You think you can make me watch her die? Go ahead, and back but this, you! Anakin, Obi-Wan said softly. He gestured to an empty seat beside him. Please. And something in Obi-Wan's gentle voice, in his simple, straightforward request, sent his anger slinking off. Shamed, Anakin found himself alone on the carpet in the middle of the Jedi Council, blinking. He suddenly felt young and very foolish. Forgive me, masters. His bow of contrition couldn't hide the blaze of embarrassment that climbed his cheeks. Later on, these are Anakin's private thoughts. And as the hollow presence of Plo Koon and Ki-Adi-Mundi went out, as Obi-Wan and Agricola rose and spoke together in tones softly grave, as Yoda and Mace Windu walked from the room, Anakin could only sit, sick at heart, stunned with helplessness. Padme, oh Padme, what are we going to do? He didn't know, he didn't have a clue, but he knew one thing he wasn't going to do. He wasn't going to give up. Even with the council against him, even with the whole order against him, he would find a way. He would save her, somehow. Now, his eventual fall to the dark side is long and dragging, and it does not happen as fast as it did in the movie. In the book, you really see Anakin struggling. He cannot sleep, he barely eats, he's slowly losing his mind, he's pulled into a political war between the Jedi and the Chancellor, when all he can think about is saving his wife. It comes to a point when he can no longer tell what's right and what's wrong. So, I'm gonna read. What's happened, my love? You're always been so sure of yourself. What's changed? Nothing, he said. Everything. I don't know. It's also a screw up. I can't even tell you. The council doesn't trust me. Palpatine doesn't trust the council. They're plotting against each other and both sides are pressuring me and... So really, that's only your imagination, Anakin. The Jedi Council is the bedrock of the Republic. The Jedi Council is the bedrock of the Republic. The bedrock of the Republic is democracy, Padme. Something the Council doesn't much like when votes don't go their way. All those who gain power are afraid to lose it. That's something that you should remember. Now, at this point in the book, he's clearly suffering from PTSD, and the only thing keeping him afloat are his bond with the people that he loves. He has valid points, and you can hear that Palpatine is speaking in his mind, but he has valid point. The Jedi Council has become as corrupted as the Republic that it serves, and it was their inability to see that the Republic was corrupted and no longer worth defending that led to the downfall. At this point in the book, he's clearly suffering from PTSD, and the only thing keeping Anakin afloat are his bond with the people that he loves. Now, unfortunately, his relationship with Padme suffers when he discovers that he's keeping things from him, and Palpatine manages to send Obi-Wan off-planet, leaving Anakin alone, vulnerable, with no support whatsoever, and ready for the taking. Still, Anakin Falls plays a lot more like a seduction in the book, more than a sudden decision. You remember only that the last man in the galaxy you still thought you could trust has been lying to you since the day you met. And you are not even angry about it, only stunned. After all, Anakin, you are the last man who has a right to be angry at someone for keeping a secret. What else would I do? I'm not, you hear yourself say, on your side. I'm not evil. Who said anything about evil? I am bringing peace to the galaxy. Is that evil? I'm offering you the power to save Padme. Is that evil? Have I attacked you? Drugged you? Are you in torture? My boy, I'm asking you. I am asking you to do the right thing. Turn your back on treason, on all those who would harm the Republic. I'm asking you to do exactly what you have sworn to do. Bring peace and justice to the galaxy. And save Padme, of course. Haven't you sworn to protect her too? Words will not fit themselves into the answers you need. If only Obi-Wan were here, Obi-Wan would know what to say, what to do. Obi-Wan could handle this. Right now, you can't. I'll turn you over to the Jedi Council. They'll know what to do. I'm sure they will. They are already planning to overthrow the Republic. You'll give them exactly the excuse they are looking for. And when they execute me, will that be justice? Will they be bringing peace? They won't. They wouldn't. Well, of course, I hope you are correct, Anakin. You'll forgive me if I don't share your blind loyalty to your comrades. I suppose it does indeed come down, in the end, to a question of loyalty, he said thoughtfully. That's what you must ask yourself, my boy, whether your loyalty is to the Jedi or the Republic. It's not like that. Palpatine lifted his shoulders. Perhaps not. Perhaps not. Perhaps it's simply a question of whether you love Obi-Wan Kenobi more than you love your wife. There is no more searching for words. There are no longer words at all. Take your time. Meditate on it. I will still be here when you decide. Inside your head there is only fire. Around your heart the dragon whispers that all things die. This is how it feels to be Anakin Skywalker right now. Now, this is only a small extract to the conversation, but I swear that reading this book, once you get into Anakin's headspace, and if you forget all the things that you know, if you looked at it just from Anakin's perspective, Palpatine actually makes sense. Holy shit, he makes sense, okay? And that's Palpatine's true strength. He made himself loved by the people, by politicians, even by the Jedi Council. Reading the book, when you get to this point, you actually need to pause a moment and you need to remind yourself that Palpatine is evil and he's using the truth, his twisted truth, to manipulate Anakin for his own means. Number 6. Yoda's realization. Now, I really loved Yoda versus Palpatine in the movie. I thought it was a great battle and they are equally matched, and really eventually comes down to bad luck that Yoda loses. He loses the high ground, he falls from the Senate bench, and reinforcements are on the way, so he cannot stay any longer for a rematch. The book, however, takes this fight into a very different level. It's not a fight between two individuals, but a fight between two very different philosophies. Yoda embodies the spirit of the Jedi for the last 1,000 years, and rightly so, since he is been basically running the order for that long. On the other hand, Palpatine embodies the spirit of the new Sith, and that's why he wins. So I'm gonna read. There came a turning point in the clash of the light against the dark. It came when the Avatar of Light resolved into the lineage of the Jedi. When the lineage of the Jedi refined into one single Jedi. It came when Yoda found himself alone against the dark. In that lightning spur tornado of feet and fists and blades and buzzing machines, his vision finally pierced the darkness that had clouded the Force. Finally, he saw the truth. This truth, that he, the Avatar of Light, supreme master of the Jedi Order, the fiercest, most implacable, most devastatingly powerful foe the darkness had ever known, just didn't have it. He'd never had it. He had lost before he started. He had lost before he was born. The seed had changed. The seed had grown, had adapted, had invested 1,000 years intensive study into every aspect of not only the Force but the Jedi lore itself, in preparation for exactly this day. The Sith had remade themselves. They had become new, while the Jedi had spent the same millennium training to fight the last war. The new Sith could not be destroyed by a lightsaber. The new Sith could not be destroyed by a lightsaber. They could not be burned away by any torch of the Force. The brighter his light, the darker their shadow. How could one win a war against the dark when war itself had become the dark's own weapon? He knew at the instant that this insight held the hope of the galaxy. But if he fell here, that hope would die with him. Yoda thought. A problem this is. Now, I really love how they present this revelation because I have many issues with the way that the Jedi acted during the prequels. I think in a way they brought about their own destruction. I'm not referring to the treatment of Anakin, although I could write a whole essay about that, but as explained before, I don't believe Anakin's fall or lack of therefore would have changed anything. The Jedi spoke about attachment, but they were blind to their own. They attached their fate to that of a political system, which is by definition flawed. They gave up their roles as peacekeepers to fight a war. They supported Palpatine's first step into dismantling the democratic process, but the Senate's vote against the creation of an army at the service of the Republic was not going the way they wanted. The Jedi spoke about attachment, but they were blind to their own. They attached their fate to that of a political system, which, by definition, is flawed. They gave up their roles as peacekeepers to fight a war. They supported Palpatine's first step into dismantling democracy, when the Senate vote about the creation of an army at the service of the Republic was not going the way they wanted. So as I said before, Anakin's point, even though it's very much influenced by Palpatine, is valid. The Jedi only support democracy when it goes their way, and that was a huge mistake. They became generals of an army of slaves, and they fought a war not against Dooku the Sith, but against a group of planets which had decided to separate from the Republic and to set up their own form of democratic government. How screwed up is that? This is wrong in so many levels, and I really appreciate that Yoda kind of understands this at the end. He sees his own failures and realizes it's too late to stop what had already started. Do we feel sorry for the Germans when the Nazi Party took over? Now they voted for Hitler. We can feel sorry about the minorities that were persecuted. We can feel sorry about the people who didn't vote for him. And we can try to understand the Germans' reasoning, but it doesn't change the fact that they voted for him. Just like people in Star Wars voted for Palpatine's Empire. Now we will have to wait 20 years when the Empire shows their true hands and true character by annihilating Alderaan, a peaceful planet by any means, for public opinion to turn against the Empire. And we will have to wait 20 years for Luke Skywalker to overcome the Jedi Order failings and to prove that sometimes love is not the way to the dark side, but the only thing that can save you from it. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please give me a like. If you want to see more content, subscribe and let me know your thoughts and comments below. See you. Bye bye.